Bush administration has been accused of misleading the American people by the Democratic Senator John Edwards. He locked horns with Vice President Dick Cheney in a fierce debate over the Iraq War, televised live across the United States. Georgia Weber has the story.
Mr. Vice President, you are still not being straight with the American people.
White House veteran Dick Cheney's no stranger to debate, but it was the political new boy Edwards who seemed to have the upper hand, pushing for answers from the man many consider to be the architect of the plans to oust Saddam.
Yes, Mr. Vice President, there is no connection between the attacks of September 11th and Saddam Hussein.
Edwards pounced on remarks made by the former U.S. administrator in Iraq, accusing Bush's government of making a critical error.
What Paul Bremer said yesterday is they didn't have enough troops to secure the country. They also didn't have a plan to win the peace.
He went on to question America's involvement in the war, suggesting their interest had been as much about oil as about protecting the people. And Edwards seems to have struck a chord with the American people. Already the Democrats are edging ahead in the opinion polls.
Prime Minister Tony Blair has touched down in Sudan at the start of a three-day tour of Africa. He's meeting Sudanese leaders to discuss an end to the rebel fighting, which has cost thousands of lives and led to a massive refugee crisis. Later today, he'll fly on to Ethiopia to chair a summit on Africa's future. John Lennon's killer, Mark Chapman, has had his latest bid for parole rejected by a New York court. Chapman was told the monumental suffering he caused Lennon's widow, Yoko Ono, and the malicious intent he'd shown meant he could not be released. He's already served 20 years for killing the former Beatle. People who've been the victim of a stalker are being urged to come forward and take part in a major new survey into the crime. The study will look at the effects being stalked have on a victim's life and try to find better ways to deal with the problem. Here's Angela Korp.
Britney Spears, Halle Berry and Brad Pitt have all been victims, and Catherine Zeta-Jones allegedly received death threats from this woman who was obsessed with her husband Michael Douglas. When celebrities are hounded by obsessed fans and stalkers, it makes the news. But it's ordinary members of the public who are most likely to be stalked. In Britain, it happens to almost 1 million people each year. They might receive unwanted phone calls, threatening or offensive letters, emails or text messages. The victims can suffer psychological problems like panic attacks and nervous breakdowns, and stalking behaviour can lead to assault, rape and even murder. Now the University of Leicester and the Network for Surviving Stalking are asking victims to fill out an online survey to find out the effects stalking has on victims and their families. They hope the results of the study will change the way stalking is dealt with, the way victims are treated, and discover how they could have been better protected in the first place.
Finally, the toys that are expected to be the smash hits this Christmas go on show in London today. Heather V. Todd went along with two experts for a sneak preview of this year's must-have prezzies.